Last month, a Muslim man named Faisal Hussein walked down Toronto's Greektown neighborhood, down the popular Danforth Avenue, shooting everyone he met. He murdered 2 women, an 18-year-old named Reese Fallon and a 10-year-old girl named Juliana Kozis. And he wounded a dozen more. Now, I just said Faisal Hussein walked down the street shooting everyone he met, but that's not actually accurate. He ran into a man named Jaspal Singh, who's a Sikh man, and Faisal Hussein, the murderer, told that Sikh man, who obviously has brown skin and could appear to be Muslim, I suppose, Faisal Hussein told him, and I quote, "Don't worry, I'm not going to shoot you." And he didn't shoot him, in fact. In fact, Hussein later said to him, "Get out of the way," to protect him from his mayhem. But this same Faisal Hussein stood on top of a woman and shot her 4 times. How does that make sense? Why would a mass shooter go out of his way to warn and even protect one random person and yet shoot another random person 4 times? Well, I don't think it's random. I'll give you my theory in a moment, and I'll give you more facts. And these are rock-solid facts. The images I just showed you are statements from police witnesses at the scene that day. The quotes I showed you were from a legal document called an information to obtain telewarrant to search. In other words, it's the facts that the police put to a judge on July 24th of this year, the day after the mass shooting, to get a search warrant for the murderer's house and belongings. So this was all the facts that the police had within the first 24 hours or so that were given to the judge. And as you can see right there on the document, at 10:10 p.m., the warrant was in fact issued by a judge. Now, information contained in a document like this, it's called an ITO in shorthand. It's not tested in court yet. It's in the form of allegations, witness statements, etc. So the facts here hasn't yet been challenged by the other side, even though there is no other side here, as the murderer apparently killed himself. Being a search warrant, it is done ex parte, which means only the police go to court. The information is kept confidential because the whole point of a search warrant is to move quickly, and if possible with the element of surprise, because you don't want people to move or hide or destroy things that you want searched. So obviously the killer's family knew this search was coming. It wasn't a surprise. They might have in fact moved or destroyed things, but let me show you this document called the information to obtain, because it's fascinating now that it's being made public. And the reason it's fascinating is not only because it tells us more details about that horrific shooting, but also because it proves that the official alibis served up both by the family and the media and the federal government were all lies. They were lying about the shooter, and they knew it. But they lied anyway to you. They lied to you. Now, some of the information in this information to obtain search warrant request, it's vague, as it often is in the fog of the moment, like this. Several witnesses reported seeing the shooter speaking with another male or another male running from the scene. Now, that could be people just confused in the shock and mayhem of the moment. The people running away could have been innocent bystanders fleeing. The other male talking might have been Jaspal Singh, whose life was spared. We don't know. You know how difficult it is to be a witness in a crisis. 3 people can see the same car accident and describe it in 3 different ways, and each of them can truly believe they're telling the honest truth. So maybe there wasn't a second shooter there, but some witnesses said there were. But here's another piece of information that we learned from this same police ITO that I hadn't seen before, at least not widely published. The murderer, Faisal Hussein, he had reportedly had a brother in a coma, a drug dealer brother, who was also associated with gun running. Now, we knew about that, but he also has another brother, I suppose, who's not in a coma, who is his twin. The Danforth murderer has a twin brother. Did you know that? I'm not saying the twin was involved. I mean, how would I know? I'm just saying that was kept a pretty close secret till now, wasn't it? Police say several witnesses claim to have seen another man. Was it him? I have no idea. The brother hasn't been charged. I'll tell you more about the family soon. Now, Faisal Hussein, the murderer, lived with his parents. He was 29 years old, bit of a loser. But let me tell you about his bedroom at his parents' home. Look at section 21 of this police ITO. Again, this is the document the police took to the judge asking for a search warrant. They were in the home with a police dog. So that's what the phrase, "the dog hit this," means. It means the police dog found something. So let me quote from this police document. "The dog then hit on a sleigh bed that had 2 drawers under it. The dog indicated on the left drawer. When the drawer was opened, the following was located." And then you see it's all blacked out. I think that's by the judge. I presume that's whose signature that is before this ITO document was released to the public. But it was done using a black pen, and it didn't actually cover up the words very well. I'm not sure if you could see it through your TV screen, but if you look very closely, you can clearly make out the words that were covered up. 2 AK-47 magazines, fully loaded with ammunition. 2 9mm handgun magazines, fully loaded with ammunition. A variety of handgun and shotgun ammunition. That's what's blacked out. But I can still read it, and you can too. Why was that blacked out? Why is that part being kept secret? This is what an AK-47 looks like, by the way. It's a cheap submachine gun, often associated with terrorists or the third world because it's of Russian manufacture. There's some Chinese knockoffs too. So it's not hard to get like a full machine gun, but it's not easy to get. That is a Russian submachine gun. A 9mm handgun isn't easy to get either, but an AK-47. How do you get one of those? And how do you keep all that AK-47 ammo under your bed, just in a drawer, and your mom and dad never find it? Really? Now, I haven't lived at home with my parents in a long time, but I think I know that mums clean the house and check things out out of curiosity, out of ownership, being nosy, I don't know, whatever. But we're told that all this ammo was a great surprise to the parents. Yeah, I'll get back to that in a moment, but look at what's unredacted. Right under there, a white powdery substance. What does that mean? Was it just sugar or flour? Or cocaine or some sort of poison? And look at that underneath it. An Islamic headdress. Huh. So that's what he kept in his chest of secrets. Guns, or at least ammo for guns, and an Islamic headdress, and that white powder. I guess those things sort of go together these days, don't they? Now, in section 28 of the ITO, police refer to a PIP check, a PIP check. That stands for a police information portal. It's basically a big police database. And they find that 8 years ago, Faisal Hussein had 3 reports with the Toronto police calling him an emotional disturbed person, 3 within 2 months. They also say he needed an ambulance for something, and that he drove with a suspended license, and that he was suspected of selling drugs. Okay, so this is interesting. It shows a criminal, not a nice little boy as the media portrayed him. He was disturbed, or at least they say he was 8 years ago. Who knows what that means? But look at this part. This is paragraph 30 of the ITO, section H. This is police interviewing his twin brother. He advised that in the past, Faisal has robbed a store with a gun, called the police to say he wanted to kill himself, and has been on antidepressants. Now, those are 3 very different things, aren't they? But robbing a store with a gun, that's not just selling some weed. That's armed robbery. That's the stuff that can put you away in prison for a decade. Let me read some more. Here's from the very next line. This is the twin brother talking about the murderer. He started attending the mosque with his father, but did not seem that interested in religion. Oh, so he was going to mosque. Next line. Faisal was into guns when he was younger, but has no idea how he would have obtained one. Yeah, no idea. Sure you don't. I hear twins never tell each other anything. And one more. About 4 years ago, he remembers Faisal visiting Pakistan with his father. Oh, really? You mean Pakistan, the terrorist supporting state where Osama bin Laden was found hiding out? Pakistan, the Muslim ethno-state with nuclear weapons where Omar Khadr trained? Yeah, that Pakistan where the terrorists like to use AK-47s. I'm sure it's nothing. Let's move down to the dad, who was also interviewed by cops. Section 32F of the police document says his dad, quote, took Faisal to Islamabad, Pakistan, about 2 to 3 years ago to visit family. Faisal was happy on the trip and did not want to return because people left him alone there. Oh, really? So he didn't really much like Canada, didn't want to come back to Canada, didn't like people here in Canada. He liked it better in Pakistan. Next paragraph, his dad forces Faisal to attend Dur Islam Mosque, as he does not go willingly. I wonder if that's true. In the next line, Faisal didn't smile much lately and only came out of his room to eat. Well, we know that's not true because he had a job. Maybe the dad means he only didn't come out of his room when he was at home. Here's my favorite line. Ready? Do you think this is true? The dad says he never saw any evidence of guns in the apartment and claims to have checked the room every few weeks. Yeah, really. That's an odd way of putting it, isn't it? For the dad especially. Here's a story from July that talks about Faisal Hussein and his family and guns. Ready? Danforth gunman's pal accused in drugs, gun seizure. A longtime friend of Danforth Avenue shooter Faisal Hussein was released on bail after being accused in the largest seizure of carfentanil in Canadian history, along with 33 firearms and ammunition in his Pickering rental property. Court transcripts state 33-year-old Maisum Ansari, who grew up in the same neighborhood as Fahad Hussein, the brother of Greektown gunman Faisal Hussein, was charged last September with possessing 53 kilograms of carfentanil, an analog of fentanyl, and 100 times stronger than the painkiller and notoriously deadly street narcotic. By the way, carfentanil is so toxic, it's not just a drug, it can be a terrorist weapon of mass destruction. It's like a kind of poison gas, a chemical weapon, and 53 kilograms is enough if it were, say, put into the ventilation system of a building or a stadium to kill everyone inside. But I'm sure that Dad knew nothing about the guns and the white powdery substance, and the brother too. They both of them had no idea, people. Swear to Allah it's true. Look what the mom said. I'm guessing the police used common sense and police tactics and interviewed the mom and the dad separately, so they couldn't compare notes. Paragraph 33 of the ITO says the mom was unaware of why she was at the police station. The situation was explained to her, and she was upset and did not know why he did the shooting. Really, let me read more. Section F. She advised that she has never seen Faisal with a gun. He has no friends and has never had a girlfriend. I believe that. Faisal stays in his room for hours listening to music on his cell phone and goes for walks in the evening. But she does not know where he goes. Really? Never seen him with a gun, eh? Had no idea there were guns in his room in her house. Even after the family friend was arrested with 33 guns. Never heard of it, eh? Brother says Faisal robbed a bank, but the mom hadn't heard of that. No, just never heard it. Nah. And you know, he goes for walks for hours, but she doesn't know where. Scout's honor. But look at paragraph 33, section I. The mom advised the following about Faisal. She advised that he has never left Canada. Has never left Canada. Really. Both the brother and her husband, the father, said Faisal Hussein went with the father to Pakistan. But the mom just said, no, he's never left Canada. Did she really forget her own husband and her own son going to Pakistan just a couple years ago? Did she really forget that? Or was she trying to be clever and realizing that something bad happened on that trip and best not to tell the police about it, not knowing what her other family members might say and hoping they wouldn't blab? Here's some more from section 33 of this ITO. No drugs. Yeah, I'll mention that again in a moment. Here's some more. Item 8. Faisal Hussein never talked about guns and never seen him angry. Never, eh? Not even during that huge arrest. Never seen him angry. You've been his mother for 29 years since he was an infant. Is it really true that you have never seen him angry? You're not, what's the word? You're not lying, are you? Now look at paragraph 34 of the ITO. It refers to a propaganda statement, a PR statement, a press statement issued by the family. As you can see, though, it wasn't signed. It was written in perfect English with a PR savvy, and every journalist in the media party ran with it as if it were the absolute gospel because it said what they all wanted to hear. As the police quoted it, our son had several mental health challenges, struggling with psychosis and depression his entire life, etc., etc. But that's not actually true, is it? He had 3 incidents in 2010 where the police said he was disturbed, but that's it, for 8 years. And you heard the mom. She said he wasn't on any drugs. Now, who knows what she meant, but she said it. But of course, we learned that that statement was not actually written by the family, and it wasn't signed by the family. So I suppose it didn't pretend to be written by the family. It was all a lie added by the media party. It was written, in fact, by a Muslim political activist who knew he had a job to do to de-Islamify the shooting, to decriminalize the shooting. I was just at mental illness, as is the usual way to go when a Muslim terrorist attack happened. So it wasn't Islam. It was mental illness, people. He was such a nice kid. Or as CTV actually put it at the time, people who knew him say he was unflinchingly polite, had a smile that could light up a room, and worked multiple jobs, including at a Loblaws grocery store, to help take care of his aging parents. They seriously wrote that about a mass murderer. But which was it? Was he depressed? Or did he light up a room with a smile? Let me speed up because I want to cover some more from this police ITO document. Look at section 35, and remember this is what the police show the judge. Now this is where the police list what they seized and what they wanted permission from the judge to search. This is what the search warrant was for. Look at this. Now there's a lot of blackouts here that I can't read through the ink, but look at what I can read. All right, count with me. A Samsung S4 cell phone, a black cell phone with the words BLU on front and back, a black Galaxy S4 Samsung, I guess that's another one, a silver Samsung phone, a black BlackBerry phone. What's that? Is that 5 cell phones were up already? Do you have 5 cell phones on your Loblaws salary? Active right there in your room. Do you have even 2 cell phones? Who has even 2 cell phones? I mean, a criminal maybe, a drug dealer maybe, someone trying to hide their tracks, someone trying to evade being traced. 5 cell phones? And look at paragraph 36, there's more stuff. Black IBM ThinkPad, white iPad, silver iPad, black IBM ThinkPad laptop. Just how many computers and smartphones can one person use? I think that's 9 of them? 9 smartphones and computers for someone who works at Loblaws making what, $15 an hour? You got 9 smartphones and laptops. Oh, and AK-47 ammo, and a trip to Pakistan that the mom denies, and a Muslim headdress. What does that mean, by the way? Is it just a keffiyeh, or did it have ISIS imagery on it? Well, we don't know. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention is on page 20 of the ITO, called Grounds to Believe the Item Sought Will Afford Evidence to the Offense. So to be clear, there had already been interrogations, there had already been a search. This was to get the court's permission to unlock these locked smartphones and computers to see what was on them. Emails, communications, things like that. What, 5 phones, 4 computers? I'm curious, aren't you? And the cops list the obvious reasons why they want that authority from the judge. But the top of page 21 is all blacked out, and I can't read through this one. Do you think just maybe it referred to ISIS? I bet it does. Because ISIS did, in fact, take credit for this attack. ISIS isn't promiscuous that way. If you take credit for everything and anything, no one believes you anymore. I don't trust ISIS, of course. I hate them, of course. But when they say they take credit, there is often evidence for that. For example, Michael Zahaf Bibo, that's the terrorist who murdered Corporal Nathan Cirillo and attacked our parliament before he went on his spree. Well, he recorded into his cell phone, as you can see here, a statement where he said he was doing this as inspired by the Islamic State. They hasn't positively directed him or planned it. They inspired him and gave him advice, probably online, and he gave them a shout out on his phone. Is that what happened here? Is that on one of his cell phones, maybe? I have no idea. But what I do know is that the official story we were told here is a pack of lies. I think Faisal Hussein was a loser. I believe that part. I believe that he had no girlfriend. I believe he's a loser living at home with his parents. But what evidence is there of massive psychosis and extreme mental illness as per the spin doctor's lies that the media all retail? There is none. It's a lie. But we know his brother was a gangster, at least one of them. And if there are two brothers, we know that his twin brother claimed that Faisal Hussein was a gangster too, who used a gun to rob a store. His father took him to Pakistan, and his mother is lying about that. The cops found AK-47 ammunition and 9mm handgun ammunition in his room, and the courts tried to black that out, but we saw it. Now, why would they black that out? What's that got to do with a secret? I mean, murderer's dead. What else are they blacking out? We know the media spin was a lie. We know that Ralph Goodale and Bill Blair, Trudeau's cabinet ministers, immediately swooped in to say there was no terrorist connection. Well, how could they have said so quickly? Did they even know about the Pakistan trip? Did they know about the AK-47 ammunition? Did they know about the Muslim headdress? Did they know about the white powder? Did they know about the armed robbery? What else did they know? What else do they know that they're not telling us? Why were they involved, by the way, at all if this was just a mental health thing? This mass shooting was a terrible tragedy for the two murder victims and for the dozen wounded victims and for the peace and security of the city and the country. But what we're also learning, whether it's this attack or the murder of Marissa Shen in Burnaby, allegedly by one of Trudeau's Syrians, or whenever there's an attack preceded by the shout, Allah Akbar, what we know is that immediately our news media stops being reporters and starts being anti-reporters, unreporters, spin doctors, downplayers, distractors. You can't trust the media because they're not about uncovering the truth. So back to Jaspal Singh. Remember him? That's the brown man, a Sikh man who could have been mistaken for a Muslim. He told police that the murderer walked up to him and said he wouldn't kill him. He said the murderer told him later, "Get out of the way." But that same murderer shot one woman, I presume a white woman, 4 times. Bam, 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 bam. Why did the Muslim murderer spare a brown man? Was it because he thought he was a fellow Muslim? Why did he drive all the way from his neighborhood in Thorncliffe Park to the Greek Christian neighborhood of the Danforth? Why? Don't expect any further inquiries into that by anyone. This police ITO document has more truth than we have been told before, but I am completely sure that this will be spun in favor of the murderer by the mainstream press. If you want to review the entire document for yourself, you can. We've posted it on our website under this video. And I can promise you that no matter what names the media party call us, we're going to continue to tell you the truth about the Danforth mass shootings, because that's our job, even if the rest of the media has forgotten theirs. That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show, weekdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every day I do a monologue, interview a guest, and read my fan mail and my hate mail. To subscribe, go to therebel.media/shows.